Grown, grown versus older. Family, I honestly think that there's two different um, perspectives on someone being grown. You know what I mean? I had put a post up and had a few people laughing about dating in your 40s. I said you got to have grace because you in your 40s and up, everybody didn't change or changing. Everybody got a pass. You know what I mean? Um, People have grew and developed certain things about them that's probably going to be them. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be able to, like, if you go into a store and you're going to go purchase something, you can't take the sneaker there and say, hey, I purchased the sneaker if you would mix it with a Milky Way and a Three Musketeer. Fam, why people want to change everything? Like, you got to accept the package from pretty much how, how it's wrapped when you get it. So I say when you grown, fam, it's a different perspective in your maturity. Like, being grown, I know how to respect another person for who they are in their space without trying to change them into what I want them to be. And we can still coexist being two different people, but feeling one another. You completely different and I'm a different way, but I don't judge the way you are. You don't judge the way I am. And we got great chemistry. That's grown. A lot of people say, but when you're older, you want to enter a relationship and say, well, I do this. I want you to do this as well. I think like this, so I think you should do this as well. You know what I mean? Like, always trying to control a person in some type of way. To me, that's just older with childish ways. That's not grown. You know what I mean? Being grown, you can accept a person for whatever space they're in. You know what I mean? I've been learning like a lot about the way people interpret who you are. You can't determine how someone is going to take you, like how someone else sees you. And they got a saying that says their perspective becomes your reality. And in that situation, you know what I mean? I started doing more research to really understand it. And I truly get it now, fam. Like, if someone views you in a way, you can't change that view. They have to change that view. And sometimes it can be from a past situation. Sometimes, it don't necessarily have to be a bad encounter or a bad way that they view you, but that's the way they view you. You know what I mean? And you can't do anything about that. But what you can do is always show evidence of growth, always show who you are without having to make it up. Always say when you have to think about it, that's not really who you are. It should flow naturally. Playing dominoes growing up, we used to say, study long, study wrong. You know what I mean? So sometimes you have to be able to be comfortable with who you are in your own personal skin without worrying about what someone else thinks about you or worrying about how they're going to view you and not changing them. You know what I mean? I really think that I'm starting to understand now how important mental health is too. Growing up in the black culture, we don't go get a lot of help. Like, we don't go to counselors a lot. We tend to think we can just pray about everything. We can push it under the rug or not talk about it, or I don't know. It's just going to just disappear or something. I don't know. But we never really fully deal with our issues. we'll just get real emotional, or we'll respond to a certain thing, or we'll react, but we never really deal with the issue. And I think that that's the part that I'm noticing in relationships, that I'm starting to encounter. A lot of people are older in their 40s, and they're still operating off of things from their childhood that they truly haven't got over, or from their first relationship that hurts them. They're still carrying that unresolved issue, and wanting to push it on someone else. You know, that's an old saying that says, if you want to have friends, you got to show yourself friendly. So if you're not showing yourself friendly, you know what I'm saying, you're probably not going to attract any good friends. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of things about mental health that I'm starting to understand now, that I really didn't, but I get it now on how people view themselves. Like, so, I'm gonna tell you one thing that really blows my mind about relationships, and especially about older women too. I don't know what makes a person think that just because they stop doing an activity for a period of time, they new again. You a virgin again. Nah. Just because you stop don't mean you can take all those bodies off of you. You can't do that. It is what it is. You can stop and say, I didn't regroup and found yourself, you know what I mean? But if you happen to find someone in our age that's ready to go, don't nobody who got time to wait. We don't know how long we got. Ain't nobody finna wait on you to figure out your mind because you made some bad decisions and now you think in your mind you're a virgin again. Come on, man. You just got to make better decisions. But that's how a lot of people miss out on blessings, because they try to turn themselves into a virgin again, turn themselves into a new person. Like, what in the world? To me, that's a mental health thing, because I don't care how long you stopped. It doesn't mean that you started over. The clock stopped and went back to zero. No, it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? So it's just funny to me how a person will be older and then feel that I can stop for a period of time and I'm new again. Nah, you can regroup, you can change, you can get your mind together, you can get healthy or whatnot, but you can't go back. You know what I mean? So don't mess around. I just want to say this, especially to my queens out there, man. I just want to say this. Don't mess around and have a good guy that comes through and you want to act like you a teenager again and have him wait and do this. And no, he gonna move on, fam. He gonna probably give you a benefit of the doubt, but we grown. We ain't got no time to play those type of games. Like, if a man know what he wants, he know what he wants. He don't have time to wait, and he ain't got to be in no rush. You know what I'm saying? But there's a limitation time now. You know what I'm saying? Don't think we kids. You wait until you get married. It doesn't work like that. It's just the reality of it. And that's what separates being grown from being older. You know what I mean? Because we don't view things like that, especially relationships. You know what I mean? So don't miss out on a good guy because you trying to reinvent yourself in a way that can't happen. You know what I mean? You can change. You should, during that time, you should be able to know if this someone you want to bond with, someone you want to unite with. You know what I mean? But going back and playing childish games like, I want you to go through a probation period. We grown. Ain't nobody doing that. Your ass gonna be left alone. I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? Because we grown now. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I do know, people have short tension spans when it comes to unnecessary drama when you get older. Like, you don't even accept the things that you would accept 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? As you in your 40s, like, everything changed, especially your expectations, especially when you are willing to, be honest, open and honest. You know what I mean? Like, there's no time for unnecessary. That's when you know if a person is grown or a person is older but still childish. You see what I'm saying? That's a big difference. And fam, literally, I have been thinking about this transitioning phase, going and, about to be 45 next month. And man, I have learned so much. And the crazy thing is, I honestly feel like in this space right now, this is up to this point, this is the best version of me right now. Like this is the best version of me because I have went through heartaches, I shedded skin, I realized who I am, I faced who I am in the mirror, I know what I look like, you know what I mean? So I feel like this is the best version of me. I feel like this is my best time. And I feel like sometimes we discredit that getting older, not knowing that this is really the season where you grow into who you are. Most people that are millionaires, billionaires, they started hitting them around mid 40s, early 50s, mid 50s, mid 60s. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when everything started clicking and you still have plenty of time to enjoy life. But I feel like we can't waste time being unrealistic. We can't waste time thinking, we can wash our past away because your past is your past, fam. It is what it is. But, once you've grown, you don't look at a person from that past. You got one as well. You know what I'm saying? So that's not the thing. You look at the energy. You look at the connection. You see if the vibe is the same. Is the chemistry good? Can you laugh with this person? Because we want to laugh, fam. We want to laugh. We don't want to be frowned all up and walking on eggshells. We have all, I would think by now, been in that situation where you had to walk on eggshells or just unnecessary control, and that's not what we're going at right now, especially not 40s and plus. You know what I mean? I think by now we should have been able to distinguish the two. So honestly, like I say, this evening I was just wanting to go live just to vent about that because I've just been seeing that, man. And in a lot of relationships and how people try to manipulate and not accept someone. Being grown, you got to be able to accept someone in their space. Whatever space they're in, you got to be able to accept them in that space. And to me, that's being grown. Not trying to change them and saying, hey, that's who you are. That's who you are. So, I believe, man, that we really need to look in the mirror, fam. If you're dating in your 40s, fam, look in the mirror. Be honest with yourself. You know what I mean? Don't be naive. You know what I'm saying? Don't be naive. Please don't be naive. We ain't got no time. We can't waste no more time. You know what I'm saying? We done waste enough. You know what I mean? So, fam, I just wanted to go live and just, talk a little bit about that. You know what I mean? Just some things that been on my mind, and that's my goal, with my page, is just to be realistic. Talk about some of the things that people don't want to talk about, the real stuff, and just be real. You know what I mean? It is what it is. If your truth offends somebody, then hey, it is what it is. But hey, it doesn't take from the fact that it was true and it was real, and that's how you feel. You know what I mean? Y'all be blessed. Continues to prosper. I'm out, man. Hold on.